everyone. I'm Leslie Russo. I'm the president of IMG Fashion Events. I'm here today with Kevin Warren, who is the EVP, CMO, and Chief Experience Officer at UPS. And we're going to talk today about the power of partnerships. For those of you who don't know Kevin, you are in for a treat. I have gotten to know Kevin over the last year through his partnership with New York Fashion Week. And I will tell you that I am sincerely a fan. Kevin is responsible for all of the US and international marketing for UPS, the UPS stores, customer experience, as well as relevancy, which essentially is everything. He was recently named CMO, most influential CMO at Forbes, as well as named to Adweek's CMO Awards in 2022. I mean, I can tell you firsthand that Kevin's perspective on non-traditional engagement channels has been driving change in perception at UPS. I know it's changed my perception, and his whole strategy is really working toward the business of the future. So welcome, Kevin. I can't thank you enough for being here. I know we're all, looking forward to hearing your vision, expertise, and perspective.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you, Leslie. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yes, yes. So UPS partners with a wide range of partners, right? The Dallas Cowboys, the British Open, the Masters, the Toronto Film Festival. And, as we all know, this old idea of sponsorship with the logo on the wall doesn't really work anymore. And UPS, under your vision, has really transformed what partnerships look like. So what do you look for in a partner when you're trying to establish a meaningful partnership for UPS?
So Leslie, let me kind of lay out some context a little bit as to how we kind of came together, and now talk about the important attributes of a good partnership from my perspective. So when I came to UPS 4.5 years ago, we were doing really well with large customers, but we were losing share to our competitors in the small and medium-sized customer segment, which is where most of the profit of the industry resides. And so it didn't take me long to realize, okay, we need to figure out how we can do more business with these small and medium-sized customers. So we did what any good marketer would do. We went out and asked them. We got voice of the customer. Some of the feedback we got was, well, we know who UPS is, but you guys are kind of old and stodgy. As a matter of fact, we did a persona exercise, and we said, okay, if you went into a bar and you were looking at UPS or some of our competitors at the bar, what will we be wearing and what will we be drinking? Yeah. And, one S&P came back and said, well, you'd probably be a guy, okay, drinking a scotch, maybe with a flannel shirt, probably with a comb over. Ouch. Oh, no. So we started thinking about small and medium-sized businesses. Well, they tend to be gender diverse. They tend to be ethnic diverse, and they tend to kind of skew even younger from a demographic standpoint. So we knew we had some work to do. So I kind of took a look at the portfolio of partnerships that we had, and we were very heavily weighted in golf, which skews a certain demographic, and very heavily weighted in college football, primarily with skews kind of similar demographic. And so then we said, okay, we need to meet these small and medium-sized customers where they are, which is typically in culture, whether that's music or film, as you kind of reference, but also fashion. Yes. And, that wasn't, although I love fashion, that is my expertise. And that kind of brought us together in leveraging you and IMG in New York Fashion Week, and the rest is history. Now, I think the partnership has been amazing because there's a certain kind of attributes you need in any sort of partnership. I kind of view a partnership as like a relationship, right? So, similar values. There's empathy as to we need to understand what's important to you and vice versa. Relationship at the top, so there's alignment. And then really kind of open dialogue where, we've had whiteboarding sessions where we kind of ideas share and really kind of get to know each other. And so when you have those things aligned, magic can happen. And that's what I think we're doing together. We're making magic.
I agree we're making magic because this truly is, as I said, we don't think of sponsors, right? I always say that's an old model. You're really, and I think you're absolutely right. You're finding like-minded partners. And one of the incredible things that I think that you guys have done at UPS in this partnership is both sides have to get value. And as much as we've brought some of the things you were looking for UPS and connecting with small and medium businesses, I think that what UPS has brought to fashion has been truly transformative. And so, I love talking about fashion and New York Fashion Week. One of the reasons is that you really can have an impact. And so, I think, I'd love to talk a little bit about what we actually did together. I think it might be helpful for people to understand. And so just to share a little background with everyone, it was only a year ago. I feel like we've done so much good work. It's literally this February will be 1 year that we started our work with UPS. UPS launched their Unstoppable campaign at New York Fashion Week in a partnership with the very talented and relevant stylist Ugo Mosey, and did a high demand merch drop that went in 2 seconds. As I said, my son still wears that shirt, but he still begs me for them. And in addition to that, what, I feel like was very impactful as well as UPS partnered with us at New York Fashion Week and In the Black, which is an organization that really supports Black creatives in the fashion industry, to create a group runway show with 3 different emerging Black designers, small business owners. At the same time, IMG launched the first ever in the industry inclusion rider, and that was the first show under the rider. And so like when you think about how many things that we've layered into them, that was a really big moment and it was incredibly significant. Tell me like a little in like, what did you expect from New York Fashion Week and like, how did that deliver?
Well, it was the first time in recent memory that we've kind of ventured into something like this.
Yeah.
And what we were hoping to deliver, and then I'll tell you what we were hoping to get out of it. So, a lot of times, corporations right now are challenged as to what is the purpose of a corporation. Traditionally, it was just to deliver shareholder returns, which is really still really, really important. If you don't do that, then your replacement gets the opportunity to do that. But you also have now other constituents who say, okay, corporation, whether it's your employees, whether it's the community, whether it's customers, to say, okay, what are you doing to make the world a better place, or the community in which you're doing business a better place? And so a lot of corporations kind of see the squeeze as to how to deliver for the shareholders, but also how do I kind of handle these other stakeholders and deliver for them, whether it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, or whether it's a more sustainable planet or whatever. And so a lot of people think there's a trade-off where you have to trade one versus other. And what we found, and really kind of looking at our purpose is, hey, there's actually synergy where, you can actually, do the right thing. And also it's good business. So what we did at New York Fashion Week a year ago is, as you mentioned, we did partner with In the Black, and we gave them a grant because we really believed in their mission to be able to allow small and medium-sized designers get a leg up and kind of compete with their larger competitors, try to level the playing field. And so, that felt good. And then to be able to kind of do a group fashion show that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. So we brought 3 of them together there. And it just felt really good. And then the proceeds of our drop, we also contributed to In the Black as well. And then what we got out of it was, I mentioned the mental model and the persona exercise. Well, we did a streetwear drop, with hoodies and joggers and cool stuff like that. And we didn't know how we would be accepted. Right. And we went all in. We had the pop-up shop there, Spring Street, and and really kind of activated through social, and it was amazing, the response. It went viral, and we had CEOs wearing our streetwear. We had a lot of young adults wearing our streetwear, and it just went It was crazy. So we ended up getting a brand lift,
Yes.
a more relevant kind of connection. Hey, look at UPS. They showed up at Fashion Week. They did a streetwear drop. Maybe we need to kind of rethink how we view them. And then we also made an impact on these small and medium-sized businesses as well. So it was fantastic. It was 1 + 1 = 3. It was a 10 out of 10. We couldn't have been more pleased.
First of all, you always know when something strikes a chord when you feel it, right? And, I'll use the word common thread, but it really is true. Like common thread of fashion is the common thread that, we all connect to. Like we all choose what we're going to put on our bodies every day. And I think one of the things you did beautifully, I think what you're saying is you don't have to choose one or the other, right? You could be doing business and supporting community and supporting small business owners and medium business owners, while at the same time having a brand lift. And I don't think you have to choose. And I think that is something that I think right now is a lot of big companies struggle with, because you've got to find the heart. And I think it's very easy for it to become performative. And it's something that I'm very passionate about personally, to make sure that it is not. And I think when you sort of adhere to that, sort of follow the heart, fashion can be something that's very uplifting. It's how we all identify. And, it's a sense of pride. And so I think that you guys sort of really struck all the right chords in the way that we've worked together and whiteboarded it and showed up in the right way. And so that was really, I give all credit to both our teams, because
Yes.
they all really thought through it very thoughtfully. We followed that up with a second last September. It was Hispanic Heritage Month, and you partnered with Latinx designer Angelo Baquet, who also has his cool streetwear line Awake. Not only did you do a merch collab that sold out in 2 seconds, but we created a UPS bodega that sold the merch collection in partnership with Angelo, and actually included in that store a variety across fashion, beauty, Latinx owned small business owners who typically wouldn't have the opportunity to get in front of editors, consumers, the fashion industry folks. And so when you think of it as a platform for discovery, what you really did is, as much as it was a store to sell product, what you were really doing is creating a platform for these designers to begin to build and find new audiences. And so that must feel really great as UPS. And what role do you think that you guys have in that? Because I always think of UPS as, working in fashion as it was always for me, the one missing part of traditional fashion weeks has been the customer, right? Historically, the idea was we're creating these shows for the industry to look at and decide 6 months from now what's going into, Saks or Bloomingdale's and what's going to be in Vogue or Elle magazine. But actually the consumer, because of social media and how we shop, and they want right now. It's a really, really important opportunity. And I feel like you own this beautiful part to finishing the circle where you actually get the package. I always think of that, with you, I get the package, you're ending the whole circle. And that's the end experience is, a consumer actually buying something or having it delivered to their house, with care, and that is part of community.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So, so one of the things we learned from the first drop in February is, do we have the right to operate in this space?
Yeah.
Would there be a reaction? So UPS, what are you doing in fashion? What are you doing in streetwear? Stay in your lane. That was not the case. They were like, hey, this was hot. When are you coming back? And so we did something for the African-American designer community in February. So we said, okay, we can take this similar formula and we'll go in September and do it for the Latinx community. And it was incredibly successful. And again, the partnership with you guys and the partnership and leveraging, company, your platform, our platform, the New York Fashion Week platform, what we were able to do for the designers there, the grants that we gave to the high school fashion industries that will then kind of help the next set of Latinx designers make it the brand relevance and response to the bucket hats and the cool jackets and the colors and the bodega we did. So we got the brand relevance piece and, our purpose statement, which we developed, through the pandemic. You talked about our role in fashion. You think about our essential status of our drivers who had to, through the pandemic, back when even people thought you could get COVID through handling cardboard boxes, we were sending our drivers out there and delivering because, we realized our essential status. So we came up with our purpose statement, which is moving our world forward by delivering what matters. And what matters can mean your holiday packages. It can mean 1.5 billion COVID vaccines we delivered at 99.9% reliability. It also can mean, helping small and medium-sized businesses, particularly diverse ones that need a leg up, that have all the talent and the skill and the grit and the grind, but maybe not all the resources to compete with their larger customers and to be able to kind of help level the playing field and give them a chance. And then you think about the generational impact that could have for their families because they were given a platform and just kind of an equal chance. So again, yes, the purpose, and you're right, it does feel good, but man, we got that brand relevancy. We have a proprietary metric in which we measure our brand power versus our competitors, and that's gone through the roof. And there's external validations on companies like Interbrand, whatever, kind of show the strength of our brand. Our small and medium-sized business went through the roof. We gained 10 points of revenue share in the process. And we also felt good doing what's right. So our whole, one of our mantras is doing good and moving goods can actually go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was terrific.
It's amazing. I'm going to share just for everybody who's in the audience, just some of the images from what we did together really quick, and then a piece of content that I wanted to talk about. So let me make sure I'm driving this. So, I'm in fashion for a reason. Let's hope I can do this right. Okay. I'm hitting share screen. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Here's you looking super stylish with Ugo, who, I'm a huge fan. He's one of our wall group stylists with the Unstoppable truck. This was part of the overarching Be Unstoppable platform. Do you want to just talk a little about what that means, Be Unstoppable, and the story behind that?
Yeah, well, first of all, look how cool Ugo looks, right? So I'm like, this is about the coolest guy I've ever seen. Let me
really
I gotta up my pose game, so I'm trying, I'm trying, but anyway. So yeah, so the Be Unstoppable campaign was really it was birthed by really, thinking about the unstoppable spirit of small and medium-sized businesses, right? You think about the risk they had to take, to come up with capital, and then the challenges they have as far as competing against larger competitors. And so we came up with this whole concept of, UPS is going to leverage its resources and its platform and its knowledge to help small and medium-sized businesses be unstoppable. So that was the campaign. And then we leverage, the assets we have, so our package cars, our brown iconic package cars, that's really a nice palette for us to kind of do our branding. And oh, by the way, you can see there, some of the streetwear there, the cool t-shirts and some of the some of the branding we put on there. And I would tell you, we had this parked, right in front of Spring Street, and it was, people were just coming and taking selfies, and the social uplift we got on that was incredible. So that's a little bit, behind the campaign and the package car, and some of the artwork there.
Well, one of the things, again, in terms of this being really a sort of symbiotic partnership and relationship is particularly in the United States, particularly, there isn't a giant caring like they have in Europe, right? That supports all these fancy brands, Gucci's of the world, et cetera, right? And so within the United States, most designers are independent designers, and they really are independent business owners without backing. And so, one of the reasons, and I always say, one of the most amazing things about American fashion that I don't think it gets enough credit for is, we are on the also cultural forefront of sort of, we're almost like fashion's incubator, right? Because who created street style? We did. Who created streetwear? We did. Who created diversity on the runway, whether it be race or size? We did. And there's a reason for that. And one of the reasons is, this sort of constant sort of flourishment of fashion as, on the forefront of cultural conversation. And I think because we're such a diverse country, and because there's so much opportunity here, it's difficult to do, but I feel like that we have some of the most talented small and medium business owners who sort of get stuck. And what you guys are really doing is enabling them to move forward. And there's nothing better. Every time I see the truck now, I think like, obviously UPS should be connected to streetwear. Like, who else is on the street? If I walk around any corner, I notice every truck now. And, I high five the UPS guys. They're like part of my crew.
Love that.
Okay. The next image, let me see if I do this right. I think so. This was the bodega on the corner. This was even just the setup time to say that there were lines falling into the street where we had problems with crowd control, stopping people from the bodega. And on the left, the Awake. I love this particular jacket, as you're well aware, incredible. These are some of the images from the inside, the drop, a variety of the different brands that were featured. And then of course, some of the content campaign with Angelo, who you could see there in his glasses, who's like literally one of the most talented designers in my opinion. I'm going to share this content piece that ran on New York Fashion Week really quick. And then I wanted to sort of jump into the idea of storytelling. So let me click here. Oops, sorry, I went backwards. There we go. No, wrong one. Let's see if it plays. There's a picture of me and one of your guys. There we go.
Unidos para siempre, for me, is really based on creating solidarity in the Latinx community. The reason why I felt like Awake and UPS coming together made sense is really about building a platform for others. Our goal is to always have a give back component. Small businesses help shape the fashion industry because in reality, we all start as a small business. La Bodega pop-up is to help create opportunity to just show the diversity of what we bring to the table as a community.
I mean, so amazing. And as you know, I like sort of skipped ahead, but literally I wear this hoodie everywhere and I take pictures. Everybody knows me at UPS. I walk down the street. It's my favorite hoodie. Like, I know all your guys now.
Well, Leslie, how hot was the bucket hat? I mean, I'm like, I gotta have that, So I've been repping that like crazy. It was so cool.
It's so good. So here's something that, I wanted to share. So, first I'll say that content clip that I just shared with Angelo was on our New York Fashion Week channels, ran on there during Fashion Week. And it was the top performing piece of content for all of September 2022 with the highest reach, more than the fashion shows. So tell me, like, why do you think that struck such a chord?
I think it was kind of the combination of things we've been talking about, so it was relevant. The fashion was really cool. The purpose, the impact, it all kind of came. And then obviously the platform and a little bit of unexpected. which is really what we're trying to do as far as really, make sure that the brand continues to grow. It's kind of show up in unexpected ways. And
Yeah.
so it just resonated. We had we thought it would, and then we got an indication in February. And then by all of our measurements, what happened last September even took it up to the whole next level as far as impressions, et cetera. So that, that bodes well on what IMG and UPS and what Leslie and Kevin will be doing together in the future for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking about that, like, when you look at the partnerships, and I know we're not the only one, but more broadly, what do you look for in terms of storytelling? And, are you looking for your small and medium business? I mean, I feel like everybody's a UPS customer. So like, who are you talking to? I guess in general, you're talking to businesses, you're talking to me who's getting a package, you're talking to your, your drivers, you're talking to the people who work at the UPS store. Like, what do you look for, and as you think of sort of content that you're looking to create? Who's
Well,
your audience when you create that stuff?
well, the beauty of, so the primary audience is really the small and medium-sized business segment. I mentioned we were losing share, and now we've gained a ton of share. And I mentioned the profitability of this segment. And so the returns on investing in that is really compelling. So that's number one. But what's so interesting these days is, all those different groups and stakeholders you talked about, they aren't siloed, so our employees are psyched about us doing cool stuff. I'll tell you a story. We had a board meeting here in Atlanta, and we kind of created a pop-up shop of some of our streetwear right next to the board meeting. And then when we were on break, we allowed our board to kind of go shopping, and they went crazy. The only problem was when they bought all their stuff, as could have been predicted, they took it home, and then their kids and their spouses wanted their. By the way, when I hear the kids like it, I'm like, yes, that's what we're trying to do as far as relevance. So yeah, so it was the employee pride, employee engagement, customers, both the recipients, who influence who the shippers are going to ship with, as well as the shippers. It's been it's kind of checked the box as far as the benefit.
Well, it goes back to what getting back to the beginning of our conversation where you said, if you go into a bar, who's our guy at the bar? And I feel like anytime someone puts a uniform on, you need to feel a sense of pride, or you feel embarrassed. And I won't say the other company I've talked to, but there's another company not in your area, one of the biggest brands in the world, who said, we realized our employees are embarrassed to put the uniform on, and that's a problem. And so, I now see, the UPS driver, in an Awake hoodie at the bar, no comb over. But I think what you're doing is expanding it. And I use that photo of me on the street because it really is a sense of pride. Like, I get stopped to say, where did you get that UPS hoodie? Not even Awake. I mean, they all love Angelo. So like, that's a done deal. But, and not just necessarily UPS workers, it's necessarily like, it's just sort of like this idea that it, to your point, is unexpected, catches your eye, and it's really good. It's relevant. And I know that's in your job description. So you're doing a good job.
Yeah, we'll continue to kind of lean in that way, so it'll be interesting, the next time we do it a persona, to your point. I think we'll get a lot different answers.
Yeah. So the last question I just want to ask you, because we've talked about this, I think a little when we've, met. I'm a huge believer in community. Like, I believe, like, this neighborhood that I've lived in, I know my neighbors, I know my, UPS driver. Like, I really am a believer that like things can start small. And when I think about UPS, as big as you are and as broad as you are, as this international company that's literally in every neighborhood, you're also a neighborhood brand. And you have, and as you said, you were, during the pandemic, essential, you are essential workers, you're an essential organization. What role does sort of community play on maybe the smaller level, you know, for UPS, and as you sort of think about some of these initiatives that you're doing?
Well, look, I think that's part of our responsibility in being a good corporate citizen. Is that we need to make the communities in which we do business better and stronger. And so we do that a number of different ways. One is, I'm on the board of the UPS Foundation. So we're big into philanthropy and making sure that we invest in making the world better and the communities better. And a lot of that's local. We're big in volunteer hours. We have 550,000 employees
Oh my
worldwide.
God.
And
Wow.
so when those employees are mobilized to volunteer, I mean, that's incredibly powerful. And that's a big initiative for us as well. And then if you think about the impact of any economy the small business has on any economy, that's really the backbone and jobs of the economy. So there's an economic empowerment play there as well. Not to mention sustainability and making the world greener. So we're focused on all those things. We review it regularly at the executive leadership level, and we review it with our board. And we see that as something we're committed to and will continue to drive.
Amazing. Kevin, you know, I always can't wait to talk to you because I feel like it's always incredibly fun and interesting. And, you know, I feel like we've got good synergy.
Indeed. That's what makes good partnerships.
Totally, I agree. We're going to shift over. There are some questions. So I think I'm going to read through some of these. Let's see where we start. Let's see. I'll be the one who's teeing some of these up. Okay. I think you answered this one already. Here's a good one. This one's going to be for you. Do you think that today partnerships have gained in popularity because acquisition on social media has risen, and as a result, companies need to find other ways to attract a new consumer?
I think, look, I think partnerships, personally, this whole kind of collaboration skill and muscle is something that's vital for companies, both collaborating inside the company on different functions as well as outside. So it's impossible for one company to have all of the skills and expertise and be a 10 out of 10 on every single thing. So having a small group of strategic partners that you can collaborate with, that you can trust, that brings value to you and you bring value to them. You kind of measure the success is critically important. And I think, it allows you to do some things a lot faster and test some things that you couldn't do if you did it organically or even through M&A. So that's not to say M&A opportunities, will dry up. That'll always be the case there. But you think about like what we've done. It's just the complementary skills and experiences and reach and expertise is just magic. You just couldn't do it organically, even through M&A.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, I would layer on is that, we always look for, I always say, ingredient partners, right? We don't just want to tag somebody on, like no one really responds to that. But like, I feel like this relationship with UPS and any successful relationships we had is when there's a true ingredient partners where you're a part of what we already need to get to. And I think that's like, again, this sort of symbiotic partnerships to me are the most important because we sort of lift each, it's the 1 + 1 = however many that you could get to. And when you find the right partners who can do that, it's magic. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. And it can't be the word I use, Leslie, it can't be just transactional.
Can't be transactional.
It has to be strategic.
The worst word.
Yeah,
Transactional to me is like, that's where I'd rather not have a partner.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's see another one. Do you feel that more companies outside of fashion are partnering with Fashion Week today, and why? I'll answer this one. Yes, I think that partners outside of Fashion Week are partnering with fashion right now for a lot of the reasons Kevin just said, relevancy. It's where you're going to find the next generation of consumers. And I think more importantly, fashion is that common thread that goes through everything. There's no one, you know, it always makes me laugh when people are like a little intimidated by coming to Fashion Week. I'm like, Fashion Week, fashion is everything. It's the socks you wear, it's your underwear, it's a t-shirt, as well as it could be a couture gown, you know? And I think that fashion is something that's on the cultural forefront of a lot of the things that we see in our world today. You know, I always use this silly example, but like, you know, in the 80s, when there were huge shoulder pads and everything for women, it was because women were going back in the workforce. You know, it is truly a reflection of who we are as a culture. And I think a lot of brands are aligning with fashion because of the opportunity to also tell a cultural story and to sort of tap into the zeitgeist of what's happening on the cultural forefront. And so that would be an absolute yes. I think we ran out of time.
Time flies when you're having fun, Leslie.
Time flies always. I always have fun with you. You know, I could do 3 more hours, but I know that you've got important meetings to do and we've got Fashion Week to set up. So Kevin, as always, thank you so much. I just feel like your vision, your strategy, it's no wonder you're on all of these incredible lists. I feel like it's just been an absolute pleasure partnering with you and I look forward to so much more.
My pleasure. I enjoyed what we've done thus far and looking forward to amazing things we're going to do in the very near future.
Thank you. And to the Launch Metrics crew, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the webinar. Okay. Bye, everyone.